Hello, it is Original Matt Rule back with some more opening. And I got some of the new set that was coming out. I was able to get my hands on a collector booster, 2 bundles, and then one of each of the commander decks. I'm going to go through them in that order. For pre-ordering the collector's booster, I did get a Green Sun Twilight promo. So that's nice. I got that. And of course, I'm going to start with the collector booster. They look so amazing. Start getting these open and seeing what's in them. The very nice white on white with hard black outlines looks amazing. Okay, yeah, they do have the cuts in them. Phyrexian Might token. Oh, these are backwards. That's interesting. Double-sided Phyrexian Might. That's interesting. And I already start with a, looks like showcase artwork, Big Gallows, the Maze Crusher, Phyrexian Beast. Enters the battlefield with 5 oil counters. Remove an oil counter for 1. It gains vigilance and menace. 2, remove 2 oil counters. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And 3, remove 3 oil counters. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. They're so interesting. Red-green commander. That will definitely go in my commander collection. And I also got a non-foil version of the Green Dominus. Reach at the beginning of combat, double the power. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. 2 Phyrexians, sacrifice 2 other creatures, put an indestructible counter on him. My Phyrexian treatment is a Rustvine Cultivator. Put an oil counter on it, remove an oil counter, untap target land. Interesting. And a regular foil showcase treatments Sinew Dancer, which I'm sure everyone's seen the version of that. So that was regular foil. Now a non-foil Necrogen Rot Priest. Toxic 2, whenever a creature you control deals toxic damage to a player, that player gets an additional poison counter. Target creature you control with toxic gains death touch until end of turn. Okay, that's interesting. And then I've got a extended art Tangleweave Armor. 2 double green, living weapon, equipped creature gets +X/+X, where X is the greatest mana value among commanders among your commanders. Okay, so that's interesting. This is green, white, this is multicolor. Extended art Blue Sun's Twilight. Gain control of target creature with mana value X or less If 5 is if 5 if X is 5 or more, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That one I think is going to be really interesting in the right decks. And then I've got a foil Kato, which I've heard a lot of interesting stuff about this one. Might have to mess around with it. Multicolor. A Phyrexian Island. Those look really nice. Prosthesis Injector. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has Toxic 1. Interesting. Evolving Adaptive. Phyrexian Warrior enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it. It gets +1/+1 for each oil counter whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control if that creature has greater power or toughness than evolving Adaphage, put an oil counter on it. So it's basically Evolve, but with oil counters. Hunter's Mage. Green tap land. Taps add green. It's a sphere. 1 and a green. Tap, sack, draw a card. Okay, so it can sack to draw a card. Fleshless Gladiator. 2 and a black. Return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You lose 1 life. Activate this if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Anoint with Affliction. Exile target creature that has mana value 3 or less. Corrupted, exile that creature instead if its controller has 3 or more poison counters. So 3 or less if your opponent doesn't have enough infection. If they do, then you can exile anything. Experimental Augury. 1 and a blue for an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library and put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then proliferate. Seems like a good proliferate card. A foil Rebel Phyrexian Goblin token. A foil extended art Conduit of the Worlds. You may play lands from your graveyard. Choose target non-land permanent in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that spell. Cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. I think that's a very powerful card. Razorverge Thicket, the borderless version of Razorverge Thicket. That's really nice. My Phyrexian this time is a Canker Bloom. Phyrexian Fungus. Sacrifice it, choose 1. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or proliferate. My regular foil showcase is a Quicksilver Fisher. Flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard it. So when it enters, loot. And another Cultivator. But this one not foil. My commander card is a Staff of the Storyteller. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Whenever you create 1 or more creature tokens, put a story counter on Staff of the Storyteller. White tap removes a story counter from the staff, draw a card. That seems decent. Extended Art Soulless Jailer. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from their graveyard or exile. Seems very powerful. A regular foil Conduit of Worlds. That's nice. A regular Plains. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that, but they've moved the plane symbol to the corner, but they don't have that on the Phyrexian. So that's interesting. Oxida Finisher, Affinity for Equipments, Ogre Rebel with Trample, 7/5 for 7. Seems pretty powerful. Jawbone Duelist. It's a duelist with Double Strike and Toxic. Phyrexian Soldier. Maze Skullbomb, the green Skullbomb. The new version of the Spellbomb, or of the Spellbomb cycles. Interesting. Shrapnel Slinger, Phyrexian Beast. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, destroy target artifact opponent controls. That's Interesting. So you can play it, sacrifice itself, and make an opponent sacrifice. If you do, when you do, destroy target artifact and opponent. Yeah, that's interesting. Vraska's Fall. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker and gets a poison counter. Seems good. Indoctrination Attendant. Phyrexian Cleric Toxic. When it enters the battlefield, you return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic, and this creature can't block. Seems powerful in the right circumstances. Phyrexian Might token with a samurai on the back. That's interesting. Sky Hunter Strike Force Cat Knight. Flying Melee Lieutenant. As long as you control your commander, other creatures you control melee. Okay, so this is the new creature that gives all your creatures melee. Malera, the Living Cure in the Showcase style. Human Scout, 3/3 for 2. If you would get one or more poison counters, instead you get one poison counter, and you can't get additional poison counters this turn. Exile Malera, the Living Cure. Choose another target creature or artifact. When it's put into the graveyard this turn, return it to that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Oh, Phyrexianized Phyrexian Foil. Nahiri. That's interesting. Necrogen Rot Priest. Myr Convert, the new Toxic Myr. 2 for artifact or Phyrexian Myr that has Toxic 1 and tap, pay 2 life, add 1 mana of any color. Chisgoria! We finally get Chisgoria, the Forged Tyrant. Affinity for artifacts, Flying Haste, Dragon. Whenever it attacks, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast an artifact spell from among them this turn. If you do, it has affinity for artifacts. That is really interesting. Actually, that goes in the commander pile. Urbrass Forge. Extended art. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on Urbrass Forge. Then create X1 red Phyrexian Horror creature tokens with Trample and Haste, where X is the number of oil counters on the Forge. Sacrifice the... Okay, so it's just a haste creature that needs to sacrifice. Ooh, Graz, the Unstoppable Juggernaut. The new Juggernaut commander. Juggernauts you control attack each turn if able. Juggernauts you control can't be blocked by walls. Other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. And foil is very interesting. A black new extended art land. Cinderlash Ravenger. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent you control with an oil counter on it. Phyrexian Warrior. It has vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls. That's interesting. Awaken the Sleeper. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. If it's equipped, you may destroy all equipment attached to that creature. Ooh, that's nasty. The Dross Skull Bomb. Branch Stalker. A 3/1 Toxic 2 Phyrexian Elf Scout. Wait, what did I do here? Axiom Engraver, Phyrexian Wizard. Enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. Remove an oil counter from it. Discard a card, draw a card. Okay. Mesmerizing Dose. As it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature, then proliferate. Enchanted creature does not untap during its controller's untap step. Interesting. Phyrexian Knight, Phyrexian Horror. So that's the horror token from the, what do you call it? Brask's Forge. Then I've got Kethic, Crucible Goliath, Phyrexian Beast. At the start of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card with lesser mana value. Put that onto the battlefield, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That might be a really fun Rakdos color deck to mess with. Archfiend of the Dross. So it's a Phyrexian Demon, 6/6 for 4 with flying. With 4 oil, at the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. Then, if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. So you have to keep it oiled up. Phyrexian Sinew Dancer. Regular foil Furnace Punisher. Non-foil Bladed Ambassador, a Rook's Hexgold Nabber, Goblin Rebel, Trample Haste. Whenever an equipped creature you control other than Hexgold Nabber attacks or dies, you may attach all equipment attached to it to that creature to Rooks. Okay, that's interesting. Another extended art, Conduit of Worlds. A foil Dragonwing Glider, which is one of the 4 Mirrodin equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 flying and haste. Equipped for 5, play for 5. And it comes in on a 2/2 red rebel. That seems pretty good. One of the planes again. Bladehold War Whip, the Boros colored for Mirrodin equipment. Equipment abilities you activate of other equipment cost 1 less to activate. Equipped creature has double strike. 1 red-white for it to come into play. 3 red-white to equip it normally. Minor Misstep foil. That's going to be nice. The Flare Ballissa. Another land. Cruel Grimnarch. Phyrexian Cleric. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, they lose 4 life. The white for Mirrodin card. Gold Warden's Helmet, 2 and a white. Equipped creature gets +0/+1 and equips for 1 and a white. Okay. Blightbelly Rat. Toxic 1, when it dies, proliferate. Seems decent. Phyrexian Might, Phyrexian Beast. Scriv's Hive. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 Phyrexian Might artifact creature token that can't block. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control with Toxic have lifelink. That's nice. Extended art foil. And then I get a Jace the Perfected Mind completed in the showcase, but not foil. Evolved Spindoderm. Phyrexian Beast. It comes in the battlefield with 4 oil counters. It has trample as long as it has 2 or fewer oil counters on it. Otherwise, it has hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. Then, if it has no oil counters on it, sacrifice it. So that's one of those that you have to balance at a certain level, and that is extended art. Or, no, it's borderless Phyrexian foil. Ruined by Cultivator, regular foil, Bone Picker, Scourge. As long as an opponent has 3, it has Death Touch and Lifelink. Doesn't have poison, or doesn't have Toxic though. Interesting. Non-foil. Glissa's Retriever, Phyrexian Beast, Haste Toxic 3. I think this is one of the biggest toxic creatures. Corrupted. When it dies, exile it. When you do, return up to X target cards from your graveyard to your hand, where X is the number of opponents who have 3 or more poison counters. Interesting. Blade of the Shared Souls. Blue artifact equipment with 4 Mirrodin. Whenever Blade of Shared Souls becomes attached to a creature for as long as it remains attached, you may have that creature become a copy of another creature you control. Equips for 2. Interesting. Capricious Hellraiser. Costs 3 less to cast if you have 9 or more cards in your graveyard. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, exile 3 cards at random from your graveyard. Choose a non-creature, non-land card from among them and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Foil. Phyrexian Swamp. Resistant Skywarden. Ogre Rebel with Menace and Reach. 5/5 for 5. Reject Imperfection. Counter target spell if that spell's mana value was 3 or less. Proliferate. Foil Terramorphic Expanse. I always like getting those for decks. Freed from Flesh. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put 2 oil counters on it. Adaptive Spore Singer. Target creature gets So when it enters the battlefield, Vigilance. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains Vigilance or Proliferate. Charge of the Mites. Choose 1. Charge of the Mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker, or create 2 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mites. That can be good in the right circumstances. Phyrexian Might token. Ooh, Monuments Facade, Extended Art Foil. That's nice. I kind of did want one of those. Venser Corpse Puppet, non-foil showcase. That's nice. Mirror Convert, Phyrexian Foil. Bone Picker Scourge, regular foil. Urbrass Anointer, showcase, non-foil. Volshok Factory. Add 1, put a charge counter on it, sacrifice it, create an XX Golem artifact creature token with haste, where X is the number of charge counters on Volshok Factory. Activate this only as a sorcery. That's interesting. I might have a deck for that. Zenith Chronicler. Phyrexian Construct. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. Okay, so it hates on multicolor. And then I got a foil Kea Intangible Slayer, hexproof. Each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. 0, you draw 2 cards. Each opponent may scry 1. Exile target creature enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 white spirit with flying in addition to its other types. That one has some really interesting implications that I want to mess with. The regular island. Regular foil Nectargen Rot Priest. Drown and Ichor. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, and then you proliferate. Predation Steward. Phyrexian Elf Warrior. Enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters. Tap 2 and a green. Tap, remove an oil counter. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate this only as a sorcery. Pestilence Siphoner. Flying. Toxic 1. Phyrexian Insect. Oh, and my vehicle. Meldweb Strider. Vigilance. It enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it. Remove an oil counter and it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn, or crew 3. 5/5 for 5. Seems good? Oh, here's the nightmare. Crawling Chorus. Phyrexian Horror. Toxic 1. When it dies, create a 1/1 colorless Might. Super playable card. Phyrexian Might, Phyrexian Beast token, a foil borderless Sea Chrome Coast, a showcase non-foil Kea, a Phyrexian style Phyrexian foil Quicksilver Fisher, a regular foil Rotbind Cultivator, a non-foil Phyrexian style or showcase Blight Belly Rat, Wormquake, 4 green corrupt, create an XX Phyrexian worm creature token with trample and toxic 1 where X is the amount of mana spent to cast the spell. Then for each opponent with 3 or more poison counters, you create another one of those tokens. Flashback 8 double green. That can be a blowout. White Sun's Twilight, you gain X life, then create X 1/1 Phyrexian Mites. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Green Sun's Twilight in the regular artwork foil. Phyrexian Plains. Rebel Salvo. Affinity for equipments. It deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn. So it kills indestructibles. Porcelain Zealot. Porcelain is disgusting in my book, but I always love it showing up on cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If that creature has Toxic, instead it gets +2/+2. Dune Mower, Phyrexian Golem, Toxic 1. When Dune Mower enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and shuffle your deck and put that card on top. That can actually be useful in the right type of like landfall deck too. Forge Hammer Centurion, Phyrexian Warrior. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Forge Hammer Centurion. Whenever Forge Hammer Centurion attacks, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. Yeah. Offer Immortality. Target creature gets Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. Nice. Prologue to Phyrexia. Draw. Each opponent gets a poison counter. Draw card. That is just a disgusting card. Like that goes into like every deck with like Proliferate. Oh. Get on to the next one here. Phyrexian Might, Phyrexian Horror. That's nice. A full art or extended art Red Sun's Twilight foil. That's nice. Ovika, Enigma Goliath, Phyrexian Nightmare, flying, ward 3, pay 3 life. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until end of turn. But the thing that's crazy is you don't lose them. Sawblade Scamp in Phyrexian in Showcase and Phyrexian foil. Blight Belly Rat in Phyrexian or in Showcase and foil. Necrogen Rot Priest in Showcase. Glistening Sphere enters the battlefield tapped. When Glistening Sphere enters the battlefield, proliferate. Add 1 mana of any color. Corrupt. Add 3 mana of any one color. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Seems disgusting. Magenta Masticore. First strike. Protection for multicolored. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice it unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. Could be useful in the right thing. Ooh. Regular foil. Ickermore Gauntlet. Planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate and -12 take an extra turn after this one. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent. Put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent. Oh, that's so broken in my book. I know so much to do with that. Swamp. Atraxa's Skitterfang. Phyrexian Insect 2/2. It enters with 3 3 oil counters. At the beginning of your combat of your turn, you may remove an oil counter from it. When you do, target creature you control gains your choice of Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Interesting. Plated Onslaught. Affinity for artifacts. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Skyscale Engulfer. Trample Reach. Can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. Contagious Varak. Phyrexian Boar Beast. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, proliferate. Interesting. Banish into Eternity. This spell costs 3 more to cast if it targets a creature. Exile target non-land permanent. And weird. Quicksilver Fisher. Regular. I got 4 left. Phyrexian Might. Phyrexian Beast. Monument to Perfection. Extended Art Foil. Search your library for a basic sphere or locust land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Monument of Perfection becomes a 9/9 Phyrexian construct artifact creature, loses all abilities, and gains indestructible and toxic 9. Activate this only if there are 9 or more lands with different names among the basic spheres and locust lands you control. Weird. Showcase Thrune, Breaker of Silence. This spell can't be countered. Trample. Can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. As long as it's your turn, he is indestructible. Phyrexian promo, or Phyrexian foiled Showcase Jor-Kadeen First Gold Warden. Interesting. Probably not the best card to get in this slot. Thrumming Bird. Back again. Foil Phyrexian Showcase. Sawblade Scamp. Non-foil. Sky Hunter's Force. Bloated Contaminator. Phyrexian Beast. Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. The Filigree Silex. That one's just weird. Phyrexian Mountain. Convert. Swooping Lookout. Flying Vigilance. Phyrexian Construct 1/2. Interesting. Plague Nurse. Phyrexian Cleric. Toxic 2. Each other creature you control without Toxic gains Toxic 1 until end of turn. Activate this only once each turn. Gets your whole team Toxic. When Chimney Rabble enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature token. Interesting. Stinging Hive Master. When it dies, create a 1/1 Phyrexian Might. Lensing Raptor. Flying Toxic. When it enters the battlefield, another creature you control gains with Toxic gains +1/+1 and flying until end of turn. Phyrexian Might token, Jorkadine extended or borderless regular foil. Evolving Spinoderm. Punisher in the Phyrexian foil style. Sawblade Scamp in the regular foil style. Bonepicker Scourge. Contamination Grafter. I think I already looked over this one. The Seed Core. It is a sphere. Tap for colorless. Tap, add mana of any color. Spend this only to cast Phyrexian creature spells. Corrupt. Tap, target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate this only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. So bad, Iron Goblin. Good to see him back. Phyrexian Forest. Vat Emergence. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Proliferate. Interesting. Annex Century 1. When it enters the battlefield, target artifact or creature opponent controls with mana value 3 or less. Exile. Okay, exile until it leaves. Okay. Mere Kinsmith. Kinsmith enters the battlefield. You may search your library for a mirror card, reveal it, and then put it in your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, very interesting Myr Harbinger. Volshock Splitter, a for Mirrodin red equipment. Gitaxian Automatist. Enters the battlefield. You may tap it. If you do, proliferate. Okay, so you can tap it as it enters the battlefield. Oh, you're not supposed to be there. Zealot's Conviction. Flash. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Corrupted. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters on it, equipped creature gets an additional +1/+0 and has first strike. Down to the last 2. Phyrexian Myr, Phyrexian Goblin token, and a foil Geth, Thane of Contracts. That's going to be interesting. And a blue Dominus. That's one I really wanted. I want to make a broken deck with the blue Dominus. Blight Belly Rat, Cultivator, Fisher, Norn's Choir Master, Phyrexian Angel. Flying first strike whenever a commander you control enters the battlefield or attacks proliferate. Can be very powerful. Ooh, Mindspire Apparatus. This was another big card that I think is going to get really broken. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on it. Instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less for each oil counter on the apparatus. Oil Darkslick Shores regular. Phyrexian Island. Selfod Century. Phyrexian Squid. Powers equals the number of artifacts you control. Seems very powerful. Tamio's Logbook. 2 and a blue. Then for 5 and a blue, tap it, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each other artifact you control. So it gets down to 1 blue. That's crazy. Maze Mantle. Flash. Enchant creature. Enchant enters the battlefield. If enchanted creature has toxic, that creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. Duress is free printed foil. Molten Rebuke. Choose one or both. 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target equipment. Vivisurgeon's Insight. Draw 3 cards and proliferate at sorcery speed for 5. Down to my last pack of the collector booster, I should say. I still got 2 bundles. Rebel Drone token. I got the drone token. Let's see. Yeah. So now I've got a foil of the green Dominus. Nice. Bullart, Blackcleave Cliffs, or Borderless Blackcleave Cliffs. Ooh, there we go. This is another one I really wanted. Phyrexian foil, Phyrexian Vindicator. That looks really nice. Furnace Punisher, Thrumming Bird, Roar of the Resistance. Creature tokens you control have haste. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may pay 1 in red. If you do, creatures attacking your opponents and or planeswalkers they control get +2 +0. Whenever one or more creatures attack until end of turn. Whenever one or more. Yeah, so you can't do it till after they've declared all their attackers. So this only triggers once every combat. But yeah, you can buff your opponent's creatures to hit another opponent. Seems fun politicking at the right times. Miran Safe House. As long as Safe House is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all land cards in all graveyards. Seems broken under the right circumstances. Your Curial Spelldancer, Phyrexian Rogue. Can't be blocked. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell unit. So you get to copy something if you have 2 counters on it and hit somebody. Forest. That's nice. Resistance Reunited. Is that Elsbeth and Koth? Yep, it's Elsbeth and Koth. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Equipped creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. That can be really nice. Necrogen Communist. Enchant a creature you control. It gets Toxic 2. When the enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Interesting. Mere Custodian. When Custodian enters the battlefield, scry 2. Then each opponent may scry 1. Huh. Centurion. Sacrifice another artifact or creature. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. Incisor Glider. Phyrexian Construct. Flying. Corrupted. When it attacks, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters on it, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Interesting. Glistener Seer. Comes in with 3 oil. Remove an oil to scry 1. So that was it for my collector booster, but like I said, I've got 2 bundles sitting here and then both of the commander decks. So I'm going to keep opening. So we got in the bundle box, I got the nice Jace Spheres of New Phyrexia art. And I've got the Elish Norn box. Very nice. I love the Elish Norn Phyrexian or Planeswalker symbol. I'll be one. Let's open this up. So we've got our sleeve with all our extra little tokeny bits. To pop those out on my own time. Our 8 set boosters. Ooh, I got the white and red spin down. That looks actually really nice. The small inner box that people like to throw away, but I like to keep. And my land packs and my booster or bundle, which is the alternate art Phyrexian Rat Commander. And then these are all just foil lands. Alright, first, bundle. Set booster. Mere Mockery. That's interesting. For an art card. Non-foil Phyrexian Swamp. Mirweb Curator. Volt Charge. Icar's Synthesizer. Atmosphere Surgeon. Prosthesis Injector. Rejected Imperfection. Urbrass Anointer. Evolved Spindoderm. Borderless Copperline Gorge. Green Sun's Twilight. Transplant Theorist. The bottom of your library. Okay, so that's going into my deck idea I've been working on. And the Hollow Sentinel. Phyrexian Golem token legendary artifact creature. That's weird. I'll have to find out what that goes to. A Against All Odds art card. Foil Phyrexian Mountain. Shieldred's Head Cleaver. 2/4 Menace Toxic. Duress. Whisper of the Dross. Target creature gets -1/-1 until in a turn, then proliferate. The Dross Pits. Dross Spellbomb. Tainted Observer. Phyrexian Bird. Toxic 1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 if you do proliferate. Interesting. Scheming Aspirant. Unnatural Restoration. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to hand, proliferate. Snoo Dancer. Ooh, Koth. Fire of Resistance. Drown in Icar. And a Phyrexian Goblin token. Hexagold Slash art card. An island non-foil. Mesmerizing Dose. Sawblade Scamp. Ruthless Predation. Predation Steward. Cephalopod Century. Ambulatory Edifice. Veil of Assimilation. Plated Onslaught. Sinew Dancer. Ooh, Nahiri the Unforgiven. Mirror Custodian and a Rebel token. Let's see, this is a Phyrexian Vindicator art card. A Mountain, Plague Nurse, Contagion Vorak, Pestilence Siphoner, Plague Belly Rat, Bladed Ambassador, Annex Centauri, Distorted Curiosity, Nahiri Sacrifice, Furnish Punisher, Olveka Enigma Goliath, a Gruul Griznark, and a Phyrexian Might token. Vivisection Evangelist art card, a Foil Mountain, a Autonomous Furnace, a Furnace Skull Bomb, Blazing Crescendo, Cadoltha Crackler, Forgehammer Centurion, Oxida Finisher, Sylvok Battle Chair, Hexagode Hover Wings, Sinew Dancer, Black Cleave Cliffs, Gleeful Demolition, and another Rebel token. A Black Sun's Twilight art card. A regular Plains. Shieldred's Head Cleaver. Duress, Whisper of the Dross, Dross Pits, Dross Spellbomb. Necrosquito. Armored Scrap Gorger. Evolving Adaptive. Rustspine Cultivator. Ooh. Unculus Grand Metatech. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look at that closer. A Minor Misstep. And a Poison Counter. The new Poison Counters. Let's see, is this Koth? Yep, Koth art card. Phyrexian Island. Infectious Inquiry. Ickerspit Basilisk. Gulping Scrap Trap. Stinging Hive Master. Incisor Glider. Hexagold Halberd. Bladehold Warwhip. Rebel Salvo. Quicksilver Fisher. Moran Safehouse, Bone Picker Scourge, and a List Crypt Rats. There's my first list card from the set boosters. Let's see. This is Varan, Executioner Thane art card. Phyrexian Mountain, Experimental Augury, Anoint with Affliction, Shieldred's Head Cleaver, Duress, Resistance United, Awaken the Sleeper, Tamio's Immobilizer, Tamio's Logbook, Sawblade Scamp, Atraxa Grand Unifier. That I think is going in my Mutate deck. A foil Cinderclash Ravager, and a Phyrexian Knight token. Oops. And we got the next bundle. Another of the Rat King. And another bunch of foil lands. And let's start in on the set boosters. Signed art card of the White Dominus. Phyrexian Island. Infectious Inquiry. Ickerspit Basilisk. Gulping Scrap Trap. Stinging Hive Master. Venomous Brutalizer. Expand the Sphere. Viral Spawnling. Feed the Infection. Necrogen Rot Priest, Jorkadine First Gold Watch, Vraska's Fall, foil, and a cat token. Maze Mantle, art card, Salwamp, Furnace Strider, Autonomous Furnace Spellbomb, Blazing Crescendo, Kadotha Cackler, Serum Snare, Font of Progress, Transplant Theorist, Snew Strider, or Snew Dancer, Phyrexian Vindicator, Soulless Jailer Foil, and a Phyrexian Golem token. Ichor Synthesizer art card, Phyrexian Foil, Swamp, Annihilator Glare, Complete Devotion, Molten Rebuke, Planar Disruption, Rebel Salvo, Resistance Reunited, Awaken the Sleeper, Rotvine Cultivator, Snoo Dancer, Soulless Jailer, and Annihilating Glare. And another list card, Argothian Elder. Expand the Spheres art card, Swamp, Fair Balsa Spellbomb, Zealot's Conviction, Duels of Deep Faith, Apostle of Invasion, Ossification, Porcelain Zealot, Quicksilver Fisher, Hunter Strike Force, Bloated Contaminator, Foil Awaken the Sleeper, and a Phyrexian Might. Red Sun's Twilight art card, Foil Phyrexian Plains, Adaptive Spore Slinger, Rotvine Cultivator, Axiom Engineer, Oil Gorger Troll, Magmatic Sprinter, Urbas Anointer, Resistance Sky Warden, Sawblade Scamp, Necrogen Rot Priest, Varan, Executor Thane, Tedvar, Jubilant Brawler in foil, that's nice, and a Phyrexian Golem token. 3 more set boosters. Roar of Resistance art card, Mountain, Dune Mower, Plague Nurse, Contagious Vorak, Pestilence Siphoner, Unnatural Restorer, Watchful Blister Zoa, Trawler Drake, Serum Core Chimera, Blightbelly Rat, Seed Core, Foil Blightbelly Rat, and a ad card. First one of those I've gotten. Phyrexian Arena art card, Forest, Merkinsmith, Mercustodian, Terramorphic Expanse, Churning Reservoir, Oxida Finisher, Solvok Battle Chair, Rustvine Cultivator, Sinew Dancer, Thrumming Bird, Heya Intangible Slayer, Molten Rebuke Foil, and a Rebel token. And last set booster. A signed art card of Phyrexian Arena, a Phyrexian Forest, Plaguebelly Rat, Infectious Inquiry, Ichor Spit Basilisk, Gulping Scrap Trap, Jawbone Duelist, Bladed Ambassador, Annex Century, Distorted Curiosity, Urbrass Anointer, Miran Safe House. What's this? Exuberant Fuseling, Phyrexian Goblin. That's interesting. And a List Tevishzat. So I'm up to 2 List Tevishzats in my collection. So, commander decks. I've got Corrupting Influence. Let's crack this open. Gonna just pull out the deck box in the bottom of it and crack this open. So we've got our deck, our sample pack, and our life counter and other gubbins. So our sample pack. Let's see what we get. Add card, Sky Hunter Strike Force, and a Furnace Punisher. Here we'll go over the deck itself. Scion of Atraxa, Doom Hive, Ghostly Prison, Grateful Apparition, Blightbelly Rat, Blilterous Skull Welder, Swords of Plowshares, Caress of Phyrexia, Icarat, Feed the Infection, Night's Whisper, Plague Stinger, Infectious Inquiry, Pestilence Siphoner, Beast Within, Blight Mamba, Carrion Call, Cultivate, Evolution Sage, Mycosynth Fiend, Noxious Revival, Vat Emergence, Viridian Corruptor, Vraska's Fall, Moldervine Reclamation, Mortify, Putrefy, Arcane Signet, Command Sphere, Contagion Class, Norn's Choirmaster, Norn's Decree, Guest Summoning, Phyrexian Outbreak, Contamination Grafter, Glissa's Retriever, Wormquake, Glistener Sphere, Fumigate, Norn's Annex, Phyrexian Rebirth, Windborne Muse, Painful Truce, Phyrexian Swarmlord, Scavenging Ooze, Culling Ritual, Merciless Eviction, Chromatic Lantern, Canopy Vista, Exotic Orchard, Fortified Village, Karn's Bastion, Necro Blossom Snarl, Shadow Snarl, Shadow Snarl, Shine Shadow Snarl, Sungrass Prairie, Temple of Malady, Temporal Plenty, Temple of Silence, Belwar Stone, Golgari Signet, Grafted Exoskeleton, Ichorclaw Plague Mirror, Soul Ring, Trailblazer's Boots, Bajuka Bog, Command Tower, Crosian Verge, Myriad Landscape, Past of Ancestry, Kinker Bloom, Sandswept Citadel, Tainted Field, Expand the Spheres, Tainted Wood, Noxious Assault, Unnatural Restoration, Venomous Brutalizer, Mere Convert, Phyrexian Atlas. And then we got lands. My thick commander card. Poison counters with tokens on the back. Phyrexian Worm, Phyrexian Horror, Phyrexian Worm, Phyrexian Insect, Phyrexian Worm, Phyrexian Insect, Phyrexian Mites, Phyrexian Insects, and the Learn to Play card. And that's it for Commander Deck number 1. Commander Deck number 2, Rebellious Rising. Sample pack. Add card. Sun's Glory, the Phoenix, and a Furnished Punisher. Nilvis, Sun's Vanquisher, or Vanguard. Oh, that's, okay, that's the Glory. Okay. It's the borderless, or extended art version. Battle Screech, Cut a Deal, Generous Gift, Golden Knight Commander, Intangible Virtue, Midnight Haunting, Path to Exile, Phantom General, Prov of the Steel Legion, Hate Mirage, Hordling Outburst, Loyal Apprentice, Boros Charm, Heroic Reunion, Rip Apart, Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Command Sphere, Felwar Stone, Mask of Memory, Mind Stone, Soul Ring, Soul Guide Lantern, Talisman of Conviction, Boros Garrison, Buried Runes, Command Tower, Forgotten Cave, Clever Concealment, Glimmering Lens, Kemba's Banner, Staff of the Storyteller, Gold Warden's Gambit, Hexaplate Walker, Roar of Resistance, Volshock Factory, Call of the Coppercoats, Collective Effort, Court of Grace, Elsbeth Tyrell, Ameria Angel, Felidar Retreat, Finale of Glory, Flawless Maneuver, Harmonize Archon, Hour of Reckoning, Increasing Devotion, Valiant, Mace of the Valiant, Marshall Coup, Maul of the Skyclays, Mentor the Meek, Silverwing Squadron, White Sun Zenith, Chain Reaction, Dragon Master Outcast, Legion War Boss, Siege Gang Commander, Aldurin, Captain of the Guard, Assemble the Legion, Jorkadin the Prevailer, Icon of Oblivion, Luxodon Warhammer, Mirror Battlesphere, Solum Simulacrum, Castle Ardenvale, Castle Emerith, Exotic Orchard, Fury Calm Snarl, Kurg Keep, Slayer Stronghold, Temple of Triumph, Windbreast Heights, Myriad Landscape, Passive Ancestry, Secluded Steppe, Temple of the False God, Lands, Thick card, a Monarch token, Golem token, Kobolds of Kurg Keep, Dragon token, Myr, Thopter token, Soldier with Haste, Eldrazi token, Rebel, Goblin token, Bird, Cat token, Human, Spirit token, Human Soldier, Elephant token, Soldier, Angel token, Soldier with Vigilance, Angel with Flying and Vigilance token, and the Learn to Play card. And that seems to finish us up to everything. So that was everything that I could get out of 2 bundles, a collector booster, and 1 of each of the commander decks. I think that was a pretty good haul. We'll have to see how it turns out. I'm planning on buying at least a good chunk more of this set and the next set when it comes out. So I guess keep watching, Thank you for watching so far, and I'll see you then.